Hello, and welcome to this session on how to improve customer service with intelligent call routing in your call center. My name is Andrew Kane, Principal AI ML Specialist SA at AWS, and I'll be joined by Christoph Kniba from Vanguard Group. So our agenda for this session is really as follows. We're going to talk about the need for AI ML in your contact centers. Then we'll just describe what the AWS Contact Center Intelligence, or CCI, actually is. We'll then go into some details on the CCI self-service solution. Then I'll hand over to Christoph to talk about the story that he has to tell us about Vanguard, and then move on to final steps to take away. So first, just why AWS for ML? Well, first, we provide the broadest and deepest set of machine learning and AI services for your business. AWS is unmatched in the breadth and depth of the capabilities that we offer to our customers. We launched over 250 new features and services in the last year, and our pace is only quickening. Now, secondly, we can actually accelerate the adoption of machine learning. So before SageMaker, doing ML was just deemed to be too hard for most of our customers. And by making ML easier and at a lower cost, our customers can make much better use of their data, which is both valuable and actually differentiating in the marketplace. We also have fully trained and fully maintained models in our AI services that your developers can start using immediately with no ML experience. And AWS has also invested in acceleration programs, including the ML Solutions Lab and education and training programs to actually help your organization more readily adopt ML. And third, you get the confidence, of course, of building on AWS, the most comprehensive cloud platform optimized for machine learning. Now, we're actually innovating on behalf of our customers to deliver the broadest and deepest set of machine learning capabilities for all levels of expertise. At the very top level of our AI stack, we have our AI services, which are relevant for today's discussion, really. And these allow developers to easily add intelligence to any application without needing any ML skills. The pre-trained models provide ready-made intelligence for your applications and workflows to help you do things like personalize the customer experience, forecast your business metrics, translate conversations, extract meaning from documents and text, and much more. And for our contact center intelligence solutions, it is the speech, text, search, and chatbot technologies that are key. It is only once you've actually used an automatic speech recognition system on your call center audio streams that the huge power of natural language processing is actually available to your application. Now, every organization with customers, which is most of them, can actually map their business objectives to these three buckets. And many times we see organizations trying to look for outcomes that map to actually all three of them. The first one is to reduce your costs. Now, agent turnover is quite a big cost for most organizations. So just simply by removing these repetitive, almost mundane tasks can make the agent's work experience that much more enjoyable. Less turnover in staff will lower your costs. And also reducing other costs into the cost. By using technologies such as IVRs to handle some calls, this will reduce the load on your actual agents, which will reduce the cost per call. Now, improving customer experience is actually really important. It's really key to the whole situation. Talking to support or your help desk might be the only personal contact that your customers actually have with you, ever. But by making that contact a good experience with them, by resolving their problems and getting it right first time, means the customer experience is a good one. And that helps with your brand loyalty. But people always understand that problems do happen, things do go wrong. But if your brand is always delivering successive outcomes to these queries and always getting it right for the customers, then you're a winner. And of course, there's always increased revenue. This is a key driver in all customer engagement scenarios, but it works really in two different ways. By providing up-to-date information and offers to agents on live calls, they can help sell actually additional products and upsell. But also they can help reduce customer churn by giving agents the information that they actually need to retain their customers, either by correctly solving their problems or perhaps having the right incentives to hand that they can offer those customers. Now, AWS offers you really several options to easily add intelligence to a contact center, depending on where you are in your contact center journey, depending on your business landscape and really on your desired business outcomes. Now, we offer Amazon Connect. This is an easy-to-use omni-channel cloud contact center that helps companies provide superior customer service at a much lower cost to traditional systems. And on the other side, we have AWS Contact Center Intelligence, or CCI. Now, these solutions, they actually use a combination of AWS AI-powered services for text-to-speech, for translation, intelligent search, conversational AI, transcription, language comprehension, and many other things like that. So these solutions enable you to leverage the AWS machine learning capabilities with your current contact center. And you can gain greater efficiencies and deliver increasingly tailored customer experiences with no ML expertise. The one thing you have to do to make this all work is you just need to bring your own telephony. Now, there are three common areas where we see AI actually being utilized in a contact center. Now, the first one is self-service. This is really where the customer is able to complete a transaction without the assistance of any agents at all, such as answering frequently asked questions, requesting videos to download, using IVR systems, making online payments, making orders, billing information, perhaps even talking to their IoT devices at home through some chat interface. And this is really what we're going to concentrate on today in this session. Now, the second one that we look at in CCI is Agent Assist. This is because agents are frequently overwhelmed just by the number of different situations that they actually face. And really, to try and actually help them out and provide a better customer experience, they need suggestions and assistance in real time of how to deal with this particular call. And this Agent Assist can also drive actions that help them with operations such as creating the post-call notes, working out the overall call classification, working out the call disposition, how successful it was or wasn't. It can also actually help the managers by giving them automatic alerts when certain phrases are coming up in the call, or when they can tell the caller's sentiment is going downhill, and they can barge in on the call to take over, or perhaps offer silent coaching or whisper coaching to the agent in the other ear. And finally, post-call speech analytics dashboards provide actual insights for managers and quality assurance personnel and other leadership groups. A big difference with this one and to the previous ones, it's designed to give insights after the fact. The call has already happened. But these post-call analytics systems can drive agent performance metrics, help you identify training needs and situations, and really help you with operational statistics. But why would you actually want to use self-service? There's many different use cases that actually use this. The first one really is virtual agents. This can have a massive effect on call volumes that actually reach your agents. And by deflecting as many calls as you possibly can to ML-driven virtual agents or appliances that can deal with these queries, rather than having a human have to intervene. You're really optimizing your live agent interactions by leaving the more complex problems and the more interesting problems for them to actually solve. Now, the second, intelligent routing. This allows you to route the call to the correct agent automatically and make sure that the first person the caller speaks to is the right person and the one who's most likely to understand the problem and actually be able to solve it. And it's this aspect of self-service that we're going to focus on today as well. And the last one really is information capture. This allows key points of information to be captured ahead of the connection to an actual agent, which reduces call resolution times and basically means that agents don't have to keep asking for the same information over and over again and makes the whole process much more efficient. So Amazon Lex, which we're going to use during this presentation, is a service for building your conversational interfaces into any application using voice or text, and it enables you to add quite sophisticated natural language chatbots to your applications. Now, we actually created Lex way back in 2017 to enable customers and builders to build and deploy these sophisticated natural language systems quickly and easily across multiple different channels. So customers want to build these, test these, and iterate quickly while deploying these conversational experiences. And with native integration to other services such as Amazon Polly, Amazon Kendra, AWS Lambda, and offering pre-built connectors to systems such as Genesys Pure Cloud and other messaging platforms like Slack, Twilio, and Facebook Messenger, all these things can be done within a single bot. But how does Lex work at a very high level? Well, we'll go through this quite quickly. At the top, we really have something that's called intent. An intent. This is what a bot can have many of, and it's really a definition of something that a bot can actually do. So this bot we're showing on the screen has an example intent called book hotel, and I'm sure you can guess its purpose. But how do you actually invoke it? So each intent has a list of defined utterances. Now these are actually phrases that will invoke the bot. You don't have to have an exact match. The Lex natural language understanding systems will try to find the most appropriate intent to match the phrase that you've actually said. And this will improve over time as the model retrains based on the inputs that it receives. But once it works out it has to trigger this particular intent, how does it know what to get? Which information does it need? Such as the city, the date, the number of nights you want to stay, the type of room, etc. It does this through a mechanism known as slots. This is the information that the intent needs to collect before it can actually fulfill the intention at the end, before it can actually book the hotel room. So you define it within the bot, you define the types of data, the number of items you need to collect, which prompts to use for each particular one. And eventually, the bot will step through and start collecting information piece by piece. But these slot types are really just placeholders. For example, with dates, you don't actually have to explicitly say the date. You can say simple things such as Friday, next Monday, and Lex will actually understand what your intention was and use the correct date. Now, eventually, the intent will have collected everything it needs and will actually ask you to confirm the action. So it can then fulfill the intent on behalf of the user, and that hotel room is booked. So with that overview, I'll hand over to Christoph, who can tell you more about what's happening at Vanguard.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm honored to share a bit about how Vanguard is leveraging Amazon Lex in our contact center. I want to begin by introducing you to Vanguard. You may be aware Vanguard is one of the world's largest investment companies, dating back to 1975, with a mission of taking a stand for all investors, treating them fairly, and giving them the best chance of investment success. We manage over $7.1 trillion in assets across the globe, supported by over 17,000 crew, that's what we call our employees, across 19 offices with 30 million clients spread across 170 countries. Next, allow me to introduce you to the program and the goals within which we integrated the AWS Contact Center Intelligence self-service solution. Our contact center technology product family continuously aims to build state-of-the-art omni-channel client experiences for our retail clients. Taking a look at the numbers, the phone channel is an extremely important component of how we interact with our clients. At peak, our call center can handle over 200 calls per minute. Given that type of scale, one goal has been to continue to evolve the accuracy of our call routing solutions. Optimized call routing leads to a better client experience, including elimination of unnecessary transfers and associated hold times, and improving the odds of first call resolution by ensuring the right associate is paired with the client right off the bat. In the upcoming slides, I'll share details around one way we're improving call routing through integration of our contact center platform and Amazon Lex. Thereafter, we'll take a look at some of the important elements of the internal platform we constructed to support and streamline the build-out of this solution and future use cases that will benefit from chatbot integration using Lex. In order to evolve our call routing capabilities, we first established a strategic approach. The approach begins with what we designate at Vanguard as the MVP, or Minimal Viable Product. This may sound obvious at first. After all, complex endeavors generally do begin with proof of concept type activities, but the MVP actually goes beyond an evaluation of the technology stack or a basic test of the integration points. The goal of the MVP instead is to establish a true end-to-end vertical slice that proves the viability by incorporating not just the technology solution, but also your business and the associated business processes as well. What you want to end up with, ideally, is that representative slice that can then be tuned and refined and repeated for capability 2, 3, 4, and beyond. To that end, we established the first criteria for what information we would want to collect from the client in order to confidently route them first to a single target contact center queue. We then took that criteria to establish a first intent in an Amazon Lex chatbot. We deployed that MVP bot, at first in limited fashion, by only exposing it to a small segment of clients. That can be accomplished, for example, by leveraging one of your organization's lower volume 1-800 numbers. From there, the approach is naturally to iterate and expand. Incorporate more complexity by employing standard incremental rollout practices, such as A/B style testing, through the use of Amazon Lex aliases, which we'll review again in just a few slides, but essentially allow you to maintain multiple live versions of your bots in production. Let's now take a look at the MVP technical implementation with Lex. The client makes a call to a Vanguard number, which is picked up by the contact center platform, in our case, Genesys Pure Cloud. Genesys Pure Cloud and other platforms support integration with Lex through AWS CCI. After the client is greeted, they are asked to provide a reason for today's call. For MVP, an example of an initial intent may be an account ownership update. Lex's NLU picks up the client's intent from the utterance, "I'd like to remove an account owner," and Lex proceeds to collect two pieces of information useful for routing: the account type and the reason. Based on these, the call may be routed to a general or specialized queue. In this example, the Lex fulfillment logic has assigned complex account change as the category, and this information is passed back to the contact center platform for routing to the specialized queue. Remember, as part of this MVP, you'll go through multiple iterations of the bot as you learn how clients are interacting with the IVR and what unexpected scenarios may exist. Be prepared for an ongoing assessment and iteration even at this stage. Once the MVP is deemed fully successful, it's time to add additional intents. In this example, we've added one additional intent for routing of new account requests. The bot is now programmed with both the MVP intent for account ownership updates and the new intent for opening an account. So when the NLU engine picks up the utterance, "I'd like to open an account," Lex prompts for the relevant routing conditions using slots, here whether the caller is an existing client and how they will fund the account. And in this case, based on those inputs, returns new client for fulfillment, and the contact center can send the call to the onboarding queue. The one piece that's been in both of the prior diagrams, but I haven't actually discussed yet, is the fallback intent. All Lex bots will be configured with a fallback intent that functions as a sort of catch-all for any utterances that are out of domain for your bot. In those scenarios, the fallback intent can be used to run additional logic through AWS Lambda. In this example, we've pre-configured the fallback intent to return a category of general so that the call can be routed to the main queue. The fallback intent will be one of the most valuable to analyze, as it will reveal not just the missed utterances you'll use to tune your existing intents, but also hints at the highest priority capabilities your clients are looking for. We'll revisit this as part of the analytics integration in just a few minutes. So we've worked through the use case and some of the phases of incorporating conversational AI into your contact center. Let's now take a look at some of the supporting components you'll want to consider as you enable your product teams with Amazon Lex. Your primary platform goal will be to make bot development as streamlined as your other critical paths. Think about the existing software development lifecycles that you may have already established and defined for web services and web applications, databases and infrastructure, and apply those same principles to your Lex pipeline. If you have a continuous integration pipeline for your other development paths, add a CI element for bots as well. Same for continuous delivery. Some of the goals we had include, is bot development easy to pick up? Can I build confidence in my bot's implementation before I ever commit it for review? Are promotions of bots from a non-production type environment into production safe and flexible? And finally, do I have the tools I need to fully support and analyze my bot's performance? Essentially, consider full DevOps ecosystem for bots. For today, I'll dive just a little bit deeper into three areas: testing, deployment, and then analytics. One of the best features of Lex development using the AWS console is the ability to directly test your bot as part of that same interface. That will be your first feedback loop for your bot engineers as they're incorporating slots, intents, Lambda hooks, and fulfillment. From there, you'll want to think about how you can streamline testing of a large number of test cases all at once. Think about extensive unit and integration test suites you may support in the SDLCs for other languages and tools at your company. AWS published a blog on an open source tool that can be used to execute exactly such test suites. Look for the link to the associated blog in the resources section. Vanguard integrated this UI so to provide both the bot engineers and their business partners a friendly way to run test cases. When you're testing at this stage, you're primarily going to be looking for two things. The first, hopefully obviously, is functionality. The bot should be fully functional without errors, especially as it pertains to integration with Lambda hooks for initialization, validation, and fulfillment. Next is utterance detection. Prepare an utterance library for your bot that you can use to test your bot end to end, and maintain that list as you get feedback from both your internal testing and when your bot actually goes live. you're looking for all the different ways your users will interact with the bot, and the ability of the bot to 1, detect the desired intent, and 2, populate slots so that fulfillment is executed with the correct inputs. Next, your platform should support deployments that are safe and flexible as what you've enabled for other languages, frameworks, and tools. In the case of Lex, you may want to designate an environment, or perhaps an entire AWS account, as non-production and a separate environment as production. Because bot definitions can be exported and imported, moving bots between these environments can be easily accomplished through CLI or SDK applications for a true automated pipeline. If you're an AWS customer, you're probably already using AWS CloudFormation as well. CloudFormation can leverage Lambda functions as custom resources, which allow you to invoke the Lex SDKs as part of CloudFormation, thereby enabling deployment of bots right alongside your application stack, which would typically include your Lambda functions, again, for initialization, validation, and fulfillment. But your goals with the deployment pipeline will be to, first of all, ensure safe elevations. Any issues should result in a rollback back to the prior state. And to that end, consider incorporating a smoke test into your deployment process and integrate the rollback if any issues are detected. CloudFormation actually makes that easy. Next, enable the ability to deploy multiple versions of a bot at once, such as to support incremental rollout and blue-green type strategies. Incorporate the Lex alias capability directly into your pipeline so that bot engineering teams can easily allow multiple live versions of the bot at once. This is what gives your consuming application, in this case the contact center platform, the ability to control which versions of the bot are currently used and quickly swap them in and out, and perhaps even load balance between them. Finally, you want to ensure that your teams are able to effectively support their bots. Amazon Lex provides out-of-the-box, no configuration integration with CloudWatch metrics to expose numerous system and application level statistics. Your bot platform will want to leverage these metrics and pre-configure all bot deployments with CloudWatch alarms that trigger based off acceptable thresholds. Beyond the direct CloudWatch integration, teams wishing to engineer highly capable bots will also benefit from access to the additional metrics exposed through CloudWatch logs. By enabling the conversation logging feature on your bot aliases, you can get a number of additional metrics and data pushed to CloudWatch. Some of the most important metrics to track using the conversation logs are fulfillment rate. You'll want to track how often your client's conversations are reaching fulfillment. When we talk about blue-green and incremental rollout concepts, this is what becomes one of the main feedback loops into your deployment strategy. The goal of any bot is ultimately to reach fulfillment. Next, the usage information. Conversation logs give you the structure you need to group statistics by intent, so that first and foremost, you can identify which intents are used the most and which ones perform the best. This will equip you with the information around which intents are the most important and perhaps help influence which ones you want to spend time to improve the experience. Remember, this is also where you'll want to track how often your fallback intent is invoked. And based on the utterances associated with the fallback intent, determine whether the interaction should be associated with an existing capability or whether it would require a new intent. If the interaction should have invoked an existing intent, you'll simply tune the sample utterances of that intent, rebuild and redeploy the bot. Otherwise, if the interaction would require a new intent, you can start to prioritize its development. Next, an important feature is sentiment scoring. This is the metric that allows you to track sentiment of the interactions with the bot over time and especially detect and respond to negative sentiment. And remember, using bot versioning and aliases, you should actually track all of these metrics as part of that feedback loop for A/B testing and incremental rollout. I mentioned the conversation logging capability will get the data over to CloudWatch. From there, you're very likely to already be able to use your existing technology stack, whether that's a standard logging flow or AWS Lambda coupled with Amazon Elasticsearch, or as in our case, a subscription filter that can send these logs to Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose and Amazon S3, where again, your analytics tool suite can take over, such as leveraging Amazon Athena for easy, direct access to those data objects. I'd like to conclude our Vanguard story with a quote from Nikki Lero, a product owner in our retail contact center technology product family that expresses our journey and success thus far with Lex in the contact center. At Vanguard, we aim to build state-of-the-art experiences for our clients. AWS CCI's self-service solution enables us to rapidly iterate and think about the client experience from a different lens. This allows us to continue improving call routing accuracy, improve the odds of first call resolution, and deliver value for our clients and business. Based on that success, we're looking forward to evaluating the use of Lex to include self-service options for the phone channel in areas such as account management, completing transactions, and providing general information about Vanguard products and services. With that, I'll hand the reins back to you, Andrew, to talk about how just such a knowledge management use case can be incorporated into a LexBot.
Okay, thank you, Christoph. It's always fascinating to see how our customers are actually using our services. Now, typically, as Christoph has mentioned, if Lex doesn't actually understand your request, such as when you ask for, let's say you try and book a taxi, when your bot understands how to order flowers, it will invoke the fallback intent. And from here, you can call any other external service that you like, including your own endpoints, or even Amazon Kendra if you'd like to do that. But we've actually made integration to Kendra a native part of Lex, and we've made it very simple by creating the dedicated search intent. So now if Lex cannot understand your input, it will pass it to the search intent, which will query your configured Kendra index and return the results back to your bot. Again, all without any code. But these three can all work together. You can actually have a standard Lex response with the Kendra search intent for something unexpected, and if that then fails, of course, it can go back to the standard fallback and then pick up your standard flows for resetting or reprompting a user to start again. So it makes it very powerful because you have the complete control of that conversation from start to finish. So where can you take this next? As Christoph explained, the Vanguard solution starts with a real-time call, and then using an IVR and via Amazon Lex, they work out the way to route the call to the best agent. This can be extended in many different ways to take full advantage of the various CSI options. So first of all, let's push all of that conversation data through Amazon Comprehend to gain insights through natural language understanding, and then store this in S3 for durability, and then dashboard everything in the BI tooling of your choice. Of course, we're showing QuickSight here, but anything else that you have on-premise or in the cloud will work quite happily with this. Now we have the IVR, but there's nothing stopping you from exposing that exact same Lex interface and that chatbot to a standard web-based chat tool. So now you can open up this same IVR system to your online web chat or online web support channels. There's no reason why you can't do this. But we have a live call. So let's use Amazon Transcribe to get the live call transcript as it happens. And then we can pass that data through the same Comprehend pipeline. This is actually vital in the Agent Assist use case, because it's at this point we can start flagging things like detected entities, the sentiment of the caller mid-sentence or mid-phrase, and it gives them more information to act in the customer's best interest. Now, of course, you may not need the live transcript, but actually you want the insights from the call anyway. So you can use Transcribe to get the call recordings anyway, and push them through the same pipeline, and that can happen just minutes after the call or days or weeks, depending on what you're trying to set up, what you're trying to achieve. But you don't have to just have live to get those insights. And really finally, as you have this Comprehend pipeline, well, why don't you open up the same thing to your mail channels, your social media channels, and get the same insights using the same rules, the same ML engines, and have the same dashboard across all your input channels from all of your customers. Now you can deploy as much or as little of this as you actually need. And with AWS, we have many, many partners that are there to support you along the way. So how do you get started? Well, first, go online to our dedicated CCI webpage, where you'll see all the deep dive information for all of the different CCI options. Now, we can then help guide you to the correct CCI partner if you need assistance in either designing or building a solution, and you can quickly then start getting benefits of an ML-driven contact center. And talking of partners, we have a large global network of partners dedicated to implementing CCI to modernizing your existing contact center with AWS AI ML services. This ranges from consulting partners to CCI software enablers, all the way back to the technology partners that may have provided your technology solution for telephony in the first place. We also have a large number of additional resources you can find online from a dedicated CSNR webpage and also lists of many different blogs to do with actually implementing Lex and building chatbots. And they're all there available for you to test online after the session. But we know that many of you have come to the summit to actually learn new skills, learn new technologies. So you can keep this learning going after this with resources from AWS training and certification. Now, we offer over 65 different courses. Many are available free. Many of them are actually on demand. But we also offer virtual instructor-led training courses with AWS experts who will help you or your team learn on how to apply AI services across your business, which will unlock many new different insights and add more value to the organization. And when you're ready, prepare for the AWS Certified Machine Learning Specialty Exam, which validates your skills and provides an industry-recognized qualification. For more information, visit the website and be sure to check out the AWS Ramp-Up Guide to learn more. So thank you very much for your time today. Both Christoph and myself hope this was information that was valuable to you and your organization. I hope it helps you on your path to embed ML within your call center environment. So thank you and have a good day.